to welcome you to the Board of Directors regular meeting tonight, September 26th. And if you would help me and pledge allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a special celebrating success tonight.
So we don't have any employees here, but we're going to recognize Lake Point because earlier today we found out that Lake Point was named the very best by Celebrate Arkansas. This is the second year running, so it's definitely a team award, and we're very proud of the work they did. We'll be able to put that logo up at Lake Point, and it's really pretty neat. The second thing, the second thing is we had a member appreciation event at Lake Point yesterday. It was very well attended, and Tommy got creative, and he sat down with Kim, and on November 6th, we're going to have the mega member appreciation event. The appreciation event will take place at Lake Point and the Country Club. We're going to have entertainment at both locations, and you'll get a wristband, and you can go from one to the other and back, and they'll have different food at the different locations, so we're calling it the mega event. So put that down on your calendar for November 6th. And that was it.
Thank you. Okay, we do have one proxy this evening. Steve McKee has given his proxy to me. If you will so note that, Doug.
It is a stipulated proxy, too.
Yes. Approval of the minutes. The board of Directors regular meeting for August 22nd. I would like to entertain a motion. So moved. Second. Any discussion, any corrections or additions on that? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those accepting the minutes?
Jim, you approve?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
The September 19th board work session meeting, I'd like to have a motion on that one. Jerry, so moved. A second?
Second.
Okay, David, thank you. Any corrections or changes on that one? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Okay, we're going to entertain the joint advisory committee reports, and I didn't see anyone from Lakes, did I? Okay, recreation. Chris, I did see Chris.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Stockman, and I'm representing the Recreation Committee this evening. So on September 9th, we met at our regular time, and the agenda was relatively light. I'll just go over the highlights. The committee volunteers reported on all their amenities, and one of the common themes was that the storm in August left a lot of tree damage and limbs down, and but no facilities damage at almost all the facilities in the community. But also that the cleanup and the work was happened very rapidly, and this was in early September, so thanks to everybody that helped with that cleanup. Another note was that the tennis play was really high at Rorden lately. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly after 2 years. I think it's close enough, though. All right, then there's a tennis tournament coming up that's probably responsible for that high play. Also, the Blowing Springs RV park has been very busy. There always seems to be events, and the camping and the activity there is really happening a lot. The restroom at Loch Lomond was recently repainted, and everyone says it looks good. But on the other hand, the restrooms at the Medfield facility continue to experience light vandalism. And it was reported that just one of them little signs that identifies the men's room was knocked off the door this time. But that seems to have been an ongoing thing, but it's addressed regularly. Over at Lake Ann, one of the committee members was just checking out the facility and talked to some folks using the pavilion, and they expressed that the facility was really enjoyable, and they just had good things to say about it. And kind of on a similar note, at our meeting last month, all the committee volunteers were given name tags. So now I think it'll be easier for us to approach folks when we're out there looking at our different amenities, so we could talk to them and find out how they're liking things or taking comments for improvements and things like that. We talked a little bit about the 2020 plan, and then we turned it over to the staff, the POA staff, and they reported on some of the activities they had going on. One item was that the lakes are going to get a fresh stocking of blue catfish, and these are the ones that grow really big, I'm told. So that's a cool thing. Classes at the gun range continue to be very popular and highly participated in. The pools and the beach are now closed, but it was reported that the season was really fantastic. And the next thing on the radar really is the Flea in the Park, which is October 12th and 13th. And I understand that there's still vendor spots open for that. So that was really at a high level what we talked about at our last meeting. Is there any questions I can answer?
We appreciate, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. I might also indicate that all of the minutes for the advisory committees are in your board packet. So the Lakes Committee's in there too. Jason, golf.
Hello, Jason Lloyd, and to clarify some recent false communication run around, I am the committee member nominated and voted chairman of the golf committee, which is a 100% volunteer paid position, volunteered, non-paid, like the board of directors. So I know there's some mixed communication going out there, so I just wanted to clarify that. Started the meeting this last month recognizing Jake. I'm going to say his last name wrong. Help me. Gressman, thank you, for all his work out here at Bella Vista. He's basically been a one-man show, cleaning up, beautifying, weeding, cleaning, just everything to do out here on the golf course. The only help he's really had has been some of the maintenance staff. He was he one of the original members, Ruth, of the golf committee?
He was on for 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. So we recognize Jake, and there's going to be a monument plaque put out at the golf course. Golf rounds, again, still down. Member rounds are down. Guest rounds are up, which is great. The temporary closing of Burksdale has surprising only had Brittany up just a little bit, and we continue to encourage people to play Brittany, and are really kind of surprised at the numbers considering the emotional support that we had at the community involvement meeting to keep it open. So everybody get out there and play our little Brittany. Merchandise revenue is up over 24,000 this year over last year, which is great. The Burksdale 9-hole update, the golf operations, maintenance, and safety developed a preliminary plan that they laid out to the committee to avoid the damaged bridge, and they are now going and looking at some financial aspects of that to see how much it's going to take to reroute, build some fences and some things. So we're hoping to have that at the next meeting so we can move forward with that plan. Huge shout out to Keith and his superintendents. I've got it written down so I don't forget one of them. Greg, Kyle, Reed, Rob, and Scott for their work after the storm and cleaning up the golf courses. There's still some detail work to be done out there. I know that their seasonal work, I guess, has been let go for the fall and the winter. So the crews out there are not only doing the regular maintenance, but also trying to get to everything else. So if everybody could just have patience, and when they see them, tell them thank you for the hard work, because I know they're working extra hours to try to get everything cleaned up. And the last thing is I also volunteer assistant coach the Gravette golf team. And on behalf of the Gravette golf team, we want to say thank you to the POA, Daryl Muldoon, the director of golf, Alex Sanford, the head pro and manager at Highlands, and all his team, GHS Golf, Home Golf Courses Highlands, and they have been an integral part of our season this year. This last week we had our district for 4A. We had 3 individual qualifiers again. Braxton Muldoon, of course, a sophomore, volunteered as an individual. Lizzie Ellis, a junior, qualified for the women's side or female side, and Rachel Deal, a freshman, qualified, and she actually played. Had a playoff hole with a girl from Harrison for medalist of all
lowest score of all females. She actually missed a putt and lost. But she was a freshman. She learned a lot, and she gets to go to state for the first year. So thanks to the POA and everything they do for the graduate golf team out at Highlands. That is it. Our next meeting is the 9th of
And these
October.
kids have all been through our junior program.
Yes, the 3 that qualified have all been through the junior program. That is correct.
Speak very highly.
Yes.
Good job.
Yep. Thanks. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Jason.
Yes.
Is there still a committee working towards Brittany and helping put programs together for next year to increase the rounds?
Yes. Yes, there sure is. Anything else? Yes, go ahead.
One remedial, I think Dean Collins was at Scottsdale.
Mhm.
On your committee.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think I rode with him the other day. I don't think we knew anything about it on the restroom at 15T at Scottsdale.
Mhm.
There's a home game built adjacent to that. Developers are thinking workers or home builders are using that. Anyway, minor remedial point.
Oh,
And then secondly, I noticed in your reports for the first time, you're starting to isolate member and guest green fees, dollars by
Correct.
course. That's the
Correct.
first time I've seen that. Was there something that bothered that?
it was just brought up to look at it. We're also going to look at a way to, it's been brought up a couple times, on the rounds to put asterisks or something under, below, so we know next year, we know Burkesdale was closed, so many days. So we're gonna try to asterisk that, so we're looking at true numbers, I guess, best way to say it. Yes, Mr. Welch.
Thank you.
David, sorry.
Just curious, we're talking about here that our member rounds are down. Why do we think our member rounds are down? Has Daryl or you or anybody speculated on that? Is it just Burkesdale?
It's not really just Burkesdale. A lot of what's been said and been talked about has been weather related.
Thought so, maybe.
It turned hot real quick after it started raining,
Stayed
so
hot.
it stopped raining. So that's about all we've been able to come up with right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else? Nope.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jason. Community involvement. I don't think I see anyone from community involvement, but once again, their minutes are in the board packet. Okay, we're going to go ahead with finance report. Dwayne? Yes, sir.
Okay. These will be the income statements, the year-to-date August 2019 in thousands of dollars. Starting with the POA, looking at the variance on gross profit against budget, it's a positive 187. We got a gain on disposal of the surplus asset for $350 on the sale of the Artmo land. Recreation fees are better by 65, Branchwood and Tennis mainly. Lot sales are better by 65, resale of foreclosed lots. Past due collections are down 89,000, legal is 50, balance is accounting. Lot valuations are down 144. That's the cost of the inventory lots that were sold earlier in the year in the flash sale. In golf has been stated by the golf committee, it's down 260,000 annuals and also weather related. Prior year comparison is better by 1,448,000. Cell tower rents make up a large percentage of that. Gain on disposal of assets, again the sale of Artmo land comparison. Assessments are better by 99,000. Boat income is better by 113. In 2018, the marina was leased, and that income went to the leasee. Golf is down by 114,000 annuals and weather related. Stump dump down by 105. Past due collections again down by 133. And lot valuations again 150.
Just for clarification, the sale of our land is the $350,000 is above what the price we paid for it.
It's the gain, and we've got a slide to kind of show what that is to clear that up. Yes. Operating expenses are down below budget, higher than budget by $1,776,000. Excuse me. Salary and wages are better by 225, mainly related to golf operations and maintenance. Maintenance and repairs are better by 149,000, grounds maintenance. GM contingencies better by 80. Employee benefits better by 74. Health insurance claims were self-insured. Utilities are better by 67, positive across all the divisions. Equipment and tools better by 52,000. And professional services, this is the biggie, stump dump, 2,564,000 negative. Prior year comparison, maintenance and repairs better by 147. 2018 flood expense was some of that number. Equipment and tools better by 140. Employee benefits, again, health insurance claims are better by 127. And professional services, again, the stump dump, 2,562,000. EBITDA then is a negative 1,589,000. And now we're going to look at that same statement, but we're going to eliminate the stump dump expense and the one-time cell tower rent revenue. EBITDA would be a positive 952,000, taking out those things. Looking at the next thing, and this gets to your point, the sale of the Artmo land, we did the stump dump out, the one cell tower revenue out, and also the gain on the Artmo land. It's better by 602, so that's a really good number year to date. And you can see right here, the sale price was 1,475. We had small closing costs. The book value, that's what was carried on the asset of the book of the land, 1,018,000, and there's the gain, 349,000. Water utility, gross profit is down by 222. The wet rain has affected us here too, down as a result of sustaining weather-related. Prior year down by 200. The water usage is down by 208, and the earlier scrap metal disposal better by 17. Operating expense are better by 139. Labor vacancies 48. Employee benefits 28. Health insurance claims. Donations 25. And maintenance repairs 20 for system maintenance. Prior year 112. Equipment's 115. Employee benefits, again, health and claims, 37. Labor, better, 34. Donations, 30. And outside contracts, a negative 89. When we got the new cell towers, we have the pass-through cost, and that was not in last year's numbers. EBITDA on this statement is down by 83,000. Any questions?
We can magically take out the fire. We're having a darn good year.
We're having a fantastic year. We sure are. And if we just didn't have all the rain, we'd have a fantastic year in golf, too. Do you need this anymore? Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Wayne. Oh, okay. Okay. Before we go into open forum today, the board decision regarding the request to grant 3 minutes to another property owner was discussed at the work session as well as the GM meeting, and it was decided that it was not necessary or the best interest of everybody involved, so that everybody had a chance to talk, that everybody would have their 3 minutes and we would drop it at that. So not allowing somebody to give their minutes to somebody else. And go ahead.
So to make it as visual as possible for the person so they can anticipate as far in advance as possible, we're going to put a timer up there. You can see it. And we're able to start and stop it. Also, before we get into the comments, one of the issues that came up last month, Joy had brought up about the windowsills, and they have not been done yet. We have our window maintenance team coming out next week, and at that time they will be taken care of. I didn't want her to think that her comments from last month were ignored.
Okay. And I asked the board to hold any comments till after all open forum people have had a chance to speak. And at this time, I don't have anybody signed up. After all that, I don't have anybody signed up. I had to get it out there. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? If not, we'll move on. Thank you much. So remember that for next month, folks, all that we went through today. Rules and Reg Committee. Want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take it. On page 87 of your board packet, you'll see that this is the proposed change to Article 10 of the bylaws. What this change will do, we will prohibit current and future boards from voting POA-owned lots. This was a contentious issue for our community, and the board has decided that they will no longer vote those lots. Changing of the bylaws requires 2 readings. This will be the second reading, and since the assessment vote is not until next month, this will be in place, so you can't slip in at the last minute. It will be in place. Now, for a point of reference, in 2016, which was the last assessment vote, the board, the POA at that time owned 700 lots. We're now down to 85, 86, 82, something like that. Quite a bit less. But regardless of what level of lots that the POA owns, those votes will not be cast. This is the second and final reading.
We'll call for a motion. We have to call for a motion first on that. Call for a motion on Article 10, right of member voting. Do we need to read it
Yes,
to
please.
make it?
No, I'm sorry, you don't need it.
This is second reading, so, do I have a second on that? David Brandenburg? Discussion. Anything come up between last month and this month that you want to discuss further?
It's a little bit related to this. I congratulate us from lowering the number of lots that we have in inventory. It means the people want to be members here. They want to live here. Builders want to build on lots. And I encourage our lot sales and legal people to start buying some more lots, because it's a good way to convert people who are not paying or are way in arrears and get them to at least pay the non-resident assessment. So, and you can see that in our assessment revenue growth the last many years. It's really improved. So encourage you to still try to buy lots.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, would you call for a vote, Doug?
All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? You got both? Okay. Vote is unanimous.
Okay, request.
Yep. On page 88 of your board packet, you'll see a request from our Golf Maintenance Division. One of our capital projects, Project 8003, is the paving of the Dogwood Golf Maintenance Parking Lot that was included in the budget. We kept this one in the budget. We didn't cut it out because if we don't repave it at this time, we're going to lose the parking lot. The budget amount is $20,600. Normally, our requirement in policy 8.10 is to get 3 bids. Unfortunately, on these smaller projects, it is often very challenging to get 3 bids. We contacted 3 different companies. Only 2 gave us a bid. The lowest bid is $20,488.50, which is below the budgeted amount. If you recall, a couple of years ago, we had multiple $100,000 jobs to repave cart paths, and we went out and we went to 5-6 different vendors to try and get multiple bids, and in that case we were only able to get 1 bid. Unfortunately, that's the challenge of being a small market sometimes that is in the middle of a building boom, is the $20,000 job is not a very big job. So what is required, what we're asking the board to do, is to waive the requirement. Our audit firm requires that we notify the board and seek permission if we ever wish to have a waiver. So we did receive 2 bids. We were not able to get 3 bids.
Okay, can I ask for a motion and then we can discuss after the motion, please?
I make a motion to waive the 3 bid requirement on capital project number 8003 Dogwood Golf Maintenance Parking Lot Repair and Resurfacing.
Do we have a second? David Brandenburg. Discussion.
I'll throw another thing in there. For any of those of you that haven't been out to the parking lot at Dogwood, all you'd have to do is drive across it once and say, we need to do this. We did Highlands last year, paved the entrance road there, and when we were working at Highlands on the tees and bunkers and whatever, it was a pain in the neck to drive out there. And
I hated driving out there and getting my car dirty. Sorry. But
We-
we've done
we-
that at the other maintenance facilities, and it's, you know, just a lot nicer area to get in and out of, and employees got a better place to park, easier to get equipment in and out, and if we have to have deliveries, it's easier to get our deliveries in and out of there when it's paid. So I think $20,000 is more than well worth it.
Is this a slurry type coating or an overlay?
Yes. Well, yes.
At that price, it almost has to be a slurry.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I can get back to you with the answer. I don't know the answer to that question. I think you're right it is a slurry. I'm sorry, I do know this. Going back to, Dwayne, correct me if I'm wrong, is this slurry, is that correct?
I believe that's right.
Yeah. Because it would be a lot more if it was paved, if it was, yeah, it would be slurry. Sorry, I had to think that through.
Okay, I would also like to commend the POA for the size of the parking slots that are painted on. You can tell a POA parking lot because you can actually open your door. Anyplace else in Bella Vista, you better be driving a tiny car or you're not going to get in. They make them so tight. My suspicion is because there are code requirements of how many parking spaces
You can
have to be for a certain business, and they don't have parking lots that are big enough.
But I think the correction here, David, is it's not for the golfers parking, it's for the maintenance yard.
Understood.
And then with a little bit of addition to some patching at Brittany Golf Course. Yeah.
Now, my understanding, there'll be no addition to budget, that the budget is already
No,
taken care of.
this was already approved.
600 has been approved, and
Yeah.
it'll come in a little less than that. So there'll
Correct.
be no addition to the budget.
Correct.
Any other comments? Tia?
I have no issue with the dollars. I think the price is fair. I think it's already in the budget. That's fine. My only issue with this is I know you're saying it's harder to get 3 bids, but I'm just uncomfortable with kind of, not that we're setting a precedent by not getting 3 bids on other projects, but I'm just uncomfortable not trying harder to get another one if that's the process we're supposed to follow and get 3 bids. And what if it's $1,000 cheaper? Is the little bit of work to try and find somebody worth it?
I understand that, and I appreciate that and we try and make sure our guys go out to as many people as possible. But as I indicated, our experience is when it's a smaller job, it's hard to get people, and that's why I use the reference of a $100,000 job, and we get one company that's willing to do the job. And you'd think a $100,000 job would get someone's attention, and it doesn't. And this is a $20,000 job.
How many companies did we go out to and only get 2 back?
Keith went out to 3 in this case.
But in most cases, after they went out for the $100,000, the ones who said no, they just didn't return anything. They totally ignore you for one of this size. They don't want to talk to you at all. If you'd say 500,000, they may answer you back, but for 20,000, they don't even answer. So it isn't that you can't get it, it's they refuse to send anything in. Any other discussion? Can I call for a vote? Doug, would you call for a vote?
Sure. All in favor of approving the motion? Any opposed?
Steve is opposed also.
Okay. Motion passes 7-2.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, the board asked me to give them an update regarding the 2020 plan promotion. As of today, as of now, I have given in 42 meetings out of 54. At one point, we were thinking we were going to do about 60, but a lot of people have come back and canceled their meetings because they've already been. I'm hitting lots and lots of repeats. At this point, we've had approximately 1,340 attendees. We have 286 people signed up on the volunteer phone bank. That compares to 105 people that volunteered in 2016. And after 4 days of volunteers making calls, they have made 3,717 calls. So they're averaging almost 1,000 a day. They have 11 more days of calling. So the group is doing really, really well. I also would want to compliment Carmen and her team. Back in 2016, one of the complaints that we got from our volunteers were a lot of our telephone numbers were bad. Approximately 25 to 30% of our telephone numbers were bad, and that's kind of when a lot of people were getting rid of their home phones, their landlines, and they're going to cell phones. Since 16, the member services, if you go in there, if you go into water, what they do is they ask you to update your contact information, because unfortunately people will change their telephone number and we're the last ones to find out. With this calling campaign, the number of bad numbers is about 5%, 5 to 10%. So we're getting through to a lot more. It's taking longer because you're getting through to more people. But it's great to have volunteers. Yesterday morning we had 11 phones going at one time, and they're all upbeat. And so I really appreciate the efforts of all our volunteers.
And I want to certainly express the congratulations and thank you to all the volunteers from everybody in the POA, because it's an extremely important role they're taking and stepping up and doing it, and it's not always a thankless job, so we appreciate it.
That's all I had to cover.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
I do. Tom, there's been a lot of members requesting of me to get kind of like a quick rundown of the fire, what funds we borrowed, what we've paid off, and like where it sits now. Do you have, could you do it
I
on
can
the
give you
spot?
some things off
Yeah.
the top of my head. Dwayne, it's 2.6 right now? Okay. So we're still feeling that the fire is going to cost between $4 million and $4.1 million. We have not strayed from that number. We're working on, if you go to the site, if you'd gone to the site a month or so ago, you would have seen that when it was really hot, we were struggling to get the seed to take. On the upper right-hand section, once it cooled down, we brought Keith in. He did a test area with some rye. It worked. Then we went and seeded the rest of it. So that's why you'll see on the right-hand side it's darker and taller, and on the left-hand side it's shorter and not quite as bright green, because that's the section that was seeded second. All right, so that's coming up. We need to get 80% coverage according to ADEQ. With the sale of ARCMO, we were able to pay off quite a bit. Last month, the amount of money that we had borrowed from the water department was at $3.7 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and we're now down to 2.6, and we have not. Correct me. We have not touched the line ever.
We have not touched the line.
We have not touched the line ever. So we're really doing everything we can to pay that down as quickly as possible. You know, Dwayne gave the financials up there, and you'll see that if there hadn't been a fire, right now we're better than budget by $600,000. The team is really doing a great job of cutting expenses and driving revenue and doing everything they can.
And we're paying back that fire just as much as we can every month.
If you look at our balances, if you go to the one pager, you'll see that our balance for the POA at the end of the month was $43,000, because we took all the excess and we paid off the water department. So we're doing as much as we can. But with that being said, remember that the latter portion of the year, October, November, that's when we start getting cash poor. So it is possible we could go backwards, okay, until December. December is when people start paying their assessments. Many people will pay the entire year all at one time. People start getting their golf and their golf membership and so forth. We become cash rich in December, but we are cash poor in November. Okay, so I just want to make sure I was clear that we could go backwards before the end of the year.
Any other? If not, 2020 Plan Community Meeting, Tuesday, October 1st at 4 o'clock at Highlands Golf Course. This is the third of the community meetings. We've had one at Medfield, and we had one at Reardon the other day, and now it's at Highlands, so all three areas were covered. Coffee and Questions, Tuesday, October 8th at 10 o'clock in the boardroom, and I trust that will probably be questions about the 2020 plan. The board GM meeting is Thursday, October 10th. It's closed meeting here at the 4:30 here at the board meeting. The work session is Thursday, October 17th at 9 o'clock in the boardroom. The regular meeting is October 24th at 6 o'clock. And then November moves to the first, second, and third Thursday for the 3 meetings because of Thanksgiving, and the same will be December. The Board of Directors work session will be budget presentation Thursday, November 14th, and the regular board session will be Thursday, November 21st. Anything else? If not, we thank you all for coming, and we stand adjourned. We're still adjourned, or we are adjourned.
Yeah.